Hi folks, let's get through this one quite quickly. It's long. Some would say prolific, some would say overly long. But the overriding feeling I've got from this is sound. 2 weeks ago, when Chris and I were overlooking WINOL, we said there's some real issues with sound. Those issues are still here and probably worse than ever this week. So we've really got to address that for next week. Okay, here we go. Let's get on with it.
Welcome to Winchester News Online. I'm Harry Acton, and here are the headlines.
Look, it's a really nice bright start, and you've done well, really, Harry, and all this. And the framing's okay. I think we've got a slight issue with this table because it's very high compared to you. That's just a composition thing.
Disruption ahead for rail travellers this week.
Two really quick shots there. I mean, it disappeared before it had even arrived, like the train. And here we're a little bit bleached, but these are better shots. That early one, I know, is an archive shot. You've got too many shots going on. Let's think about these headlines.
Winchester celebrates in style.
Yeah, and I think we needed a bit of Nat Sot there to get us really going. Some big fireworks before we see a bonfire, which we did in the first shot.
And locals unite to save a horse's life. If you're a commuter, you may have noticed a number of delays over the last few weeks on the South's trains, and there's a lot more to come. WINOL took to the tracks to look into why this keeps happening.
Well, it's because it's underfunded and whatever. But so let's tell a story of what has been going on. I know this is what we call slightly a drop intro. But you need to grasp what this story is and not leave it too vague. I know we always say, we start wide in the inverted pyramid type way and then come in on a story. But here you've not really grasped what the story is about.
Bethany Waring reports.
Hundreds of passengers faced delays and disruption yesterday after a South Western Railway's train derailed near Wimbledon.
Now, I presume we got access to the BBC and they let us have these pictures rather than we just ripped them off. I don't know what the process was for us stealing these pictures, Bethany, but clearly we don't usually just go and rip somebody else's pictures and then go courtesy of the BBC. I presume there was due process behind it, and I'm sure you discussed it with Brian before using these pictures.
The derailment happened just before 6 in the morning. The disruption continued until 3:30 in the afternoon. Normal service has resumed here in Winchester, but passengers face more disruption later this week when South Western Railway staff go on strike on Wednesday and Thursday. The union says the strike is because First MTR, which runs the franchise, hasn't given assurances.
This is a really wobbly shot, really wobbly and horrible.
About the role of guards in the future. However, in a statement on South Western Railway website, the managing director, Andy Mellor, said the company has guaranteed.
And this would be really nice, obviously, if you just had something behind it. Just having black and white writing on it is not very nice at all.
That we will roster a guard on every train and that those guards will continue to be trained in safety procedures. It's bad news for anybody who wants to travel over the next 2 days. A reduced service will run on most lines.
See, that's and this is a shot that means nothing. What we do need is shots of trains, clearly, and some vox pops.
Including here in Winchester.
Shots of people turning up into the station, buying tickets, all that sort of thing. I know you probably cannot get on the platform or actually inside the station to shoot things, but you can be outside shooting people going in, for sure.
But some services have been completely replaced by rail replacement bus services. South Western Railways reminds passengers.
And do that bit again. Look, I know you've done a really, really long piece to camera here, but because you've cut it up into chunks, you give yourself the ability to be able to stop and do it again. So it's not like a 45-second piece to camera, which naturally you're likely to stutter over somewhere or forget your words. But if you've split it up into really small bite-sized pieces, then there's no excuse for not doing it all over again.
But those trains that do run are likely to be more crowded than usual. Bethany Waring, Winchester News Online.
And then here's our first incident of sound, really, really windy. So where did that come from? Have we listened to it? Can we go back and do it? All things you need to think about. Look, in the package itself, I don't think there are enough pictures in it. That is my first issue. I think you've tried to tell it very well, and you brought in two things together. Are they connected? Well, maybe. You've got a derailment, clearly delays, and a strike. But what about the unions? What are they saying? We need, we have a statement, but we need all sorts of people in this to flesh out a package. Otherwise, it's very, very dry. However hard you have tried, Bethany, to make it into a decent package.
And South Western Railway says there's more information on their website. Now,
you see, that's a good back ref. You know, we're always trying to give our viewers information, so that's good news.
More potential problems on the railways. Residents across the south face losing direct routes to London next year under new South Western Railway plans. We sent Nicole Moore to investigate.
You see, that's a good linking of a story. You can see there's a chronology here, and actually, for those people who are going to lose this service, it would be pretty huge, as we find out in the package. But, okay, your first shot, and you've put WINOL Archive on it, is also a shot that was A, in the headlines, and B, in Bethany's piece as well. So there are a couple of things wrong with this. Firstly, whoever is news editing should be looking at all the packages. And I've noticed straight away that I've seen this shot, and I'm only 2 minutes 28 into this bulletin here, and I have already seen the same shot 3 times. So that's the first problem. Secondly, you have put WINOL Archive on it. Now, you don't need to say this is archive with an uncontentious shot like this. If it referred to a crime scene at a particular time, if it was a meeting, say a council meeting that was important, that was 6 months ago, then you'd say WINOL Archive with a bit of maybe a date on it as well. If it's just a GV, a general shot of something, and you've got a train, you do not need to put WINOL Archive on it. We're not fooling anyone. We're not trying to say it's something else, but don't bother. But ultimately, don't use that shot because it's already been used twice before.
Totton is just one of the 4 towns in the New Forest that could be affected by the discontinuation of direct services to London.
And I think you use it in your piece to camera as well, Nicole. Discontinuation is not a word that I use every day, probably not even every week, and maybe I never use it at all. So I think discontinuation is a bit of a clunky word. I think you could easily say stopping services from. Find another way that is not the discontinuation, because it formalises something when it should be more conversational.
South Western Railway has launched a public consultation to...
I'm not quite sure what a high street shot and Totton with no people in it and the outside of a shop is for. It doesn't really reflect our story.
Introduce the proposed new timetable changes, which are due to take place in December 2018.
Those are better train shots. Look, on this, they look a bit bleached, and I don't know if that's in the compression, but it may be that they're not exposed properly because they look too hot, these pictures. They may be all right on the original.
Some of the locals are not thrilled by the idea.
I just think it'd be a bit put out, to be quite honest with you.
Just framing on that other one as well is a bit too much headroom. And this guy as well. Do you remember the rule of thirds? Have you been told about the rule of thirds? Split your screen into 3. So you get an imaginary line coming down here, an imaginary line coming down here, and an imaginary line going across there. So you've hit that one, so that's okay. An imaginary line going across there. That is your rule of thirds. So you're splitting horizontal and vertical axes into 3. This guy is right in the middle. So actually, you should have, he's right height-wise because you hit the vertical third, but actually he should be probably here hitting, sorry, that was the horizontal third, and this one he should be hitting the vertical third just there.
I can't believe it's going to happen. I'm sure the public will talk about it and sort things out, surely. It's down to us, isn't it?
Direct services to the capital could be discontinued from the following New Forest stations: Totton, Sway, Ashurst and Hinton Admiral.
Is there a way, I mean, I've only just seen this at the second time of viewing, that these are there. Can this be expanded? Could you cut this bit and make it bigger and draw it out? That would help.
David Murdoch from South Western Railway commented, "The reason we have published a consultation is so that everyone has the chance to comment on the timetable proposals so that planners can use the feedback to help shape the final proposal." With more than 99 million people travelling through London Waterloo a year, the discontinuation of direct services from the New Forest could upset and affect those commuting greatly. Nicole Moore, Winchester News Online, Totton.
Nicole, as you finish your lovely piece to camera, you can hear that probably there's a gardener with a leaf blowing machine. He stops. Well, that's nice, but actually you've just finished your piece to camera. So wait until it's quieter and then do it again. But there are some really good pieces to camera actually today. You're all quite strong in front of screen, and that's fine. And it's good to try out and add a little bit to your piece by a piece to camera and get yourself, your character, your face to show that we have people on the ground in vision. But I would say, what does this have to do with the story? Okay, what does you by a tree and some lovely autumn leaves have to do with the story?
Winchester always celebrates in style, and Bonfire Night is no exception.
Really?
Thousands gathered over the weekend to take part in the South's biggest display, and it's all for a good cause. Renee Shaw reports.
Remember the 5th of November, Bonfire Night 2017, marking the 59th annual Winchester Roundtable Bonfire and Fireworks event.
That's a nice start, well written, well done.
An estimated 21,000 tickets were purchased for the sold-out event.
I'd say bought. Purchase again is a little bit of a formalisation.
That attracted people from all over Hampshire.
Need a bit more nat sot here, a bit of a natural sound bleeding in underneath your voiceover.
Evening that included entertainment, a torchlit parade, a bonfire lit by the Mayor of Winchester, and of course, the fireworks spectacular.
Just make sure your pictures match your words. You've said all the right things, but let's get the pictures to match. You see, that is lovely. If you could have been down the front of this and see more faces, you see, that's another thing. You need to think about planning your shots here, because we've got the back of heads, and look, this is very nice. This torchlit parade is lovely. It's very Christmassy. We've got the Christmas lights up, and obviously a real bonfire night feel to it. But how much better would it have been if you'd actually been near the front of this queue with people walking past you? I would actually be a pain in the arse, and I'd work my way all the way up the side so that I could get to the front, and I'd have people coming through me with their candles, and I think that would have looked nicer. Look, you've got a decent wide shot here, but again, it has to be reflected in your words, which they don't match up at the time, and then the pictures could be improved as if you were a part of those torchlit procession.
Supporting and raising money for charities and good causes throughout Winchester, one of which is Youth Options, who are focused on improving young people's chances in life, providing opportunities specially tailored for them. In the last year, they have supported 2,334 young people.
Last year we received £4,600 from the round table. And what we've used that money for is to provide one night a week at
And Nicole, you could look at the framing of this and see this is perfectly framed, because look, there's the third, there's your horizontal third, there's your vertical third, and that's really good. You've framed this there. Maybe it could be a little bit tighter, but actually it's good framing.
Youth Club. And then halfway through the year, we've been able to go out and provide a detached youth worker in the WINOL area to go out and meet young people.
The fireworks event helped a large variety of charities and non-profit organisations and will do for years to come.
Be careful about just saying it will do for years to come, because look, the money is going to run out at some stage. And it's only, what was it, £4,000 or something. So just be careful not to overblow it. But it's, again, good piece to camera. It's framed fine. I know you think that's very low in the frame, but it's clearly because you've wanted to get this sign in it. So that works. I'm not a fan of getting dogs in shot. And if you can shoot your piece to camera without that, I'd be grateful.
Renee Shaw, Winchester News Online, Quality.
This Sunday commemorates the 72nd anniversary of the end of World War II. The Royal Hampshire Regiment Museum showed WINOL the artefacts of history. Julie Lee reports.
Yeah, I think you've got us into this story, and look, in your expression, in your face, you've clearly told that this is a more serious story than bonfires.
So these are a nice set of medals. This is one of the latest.
And I love the way you've just got a little bit of Nat Sot at the beginning there. Look, nice set of medals. I'm already into this piece. I think it was a really good opening.
Donations to the Royal Hampshire Regiment Museum. And then escaped for about 800 miles back to safety.
And it's a lovely shot, but what I'd love is your a slightly better shot, and maybe your finger marking the route to safety or whatever it might have been. I can't quite find out where this is in the world because the map's slightly upside down, but it's really nice visually if you could be a little bit more precise.
And his grandson came to give us this last week.
The donations make it possible to tell the stories of soldiers through their memorabilia.
Just a few too many quick shots here. You clearly did your voiceover afterwards, and it's a little bit short, and therefore you get a bit of this, bit of that, all a bit too brief, and you're going, oh, what's going on? And it needs just to be paced better.
It's not just about the numbers, it's about the individuals, their hopes, their fears.
And again, this is a little bit too central. Just have her face here. You can enjoy the books. The background is good. It looks like you're in a sort of museum. So just have her around about there.
It's their loves, their interests. That's what we try and show in the museum. So it's not just this soldier did this and won this battle and won this flag. It's this person was terrified and wrote home to mum that they were terrified and sent pictures home to their sweethearts.
That's a really, really good grab. It's so evocative. So well done for choosing that one.
Remembrance Sunday is important for the museum.
And we're trying to show within the museum that the remembrance and the commemoration happens all the time, every day of the year. And Remembrance Sunday is a focus for that, but it's beyond that.
I feel proud of selling.
And she goes on a bit long, and actually I think this guy is a bit long. You could have cut him a lot shorter. And again, look at your framing. You may have done this on your own. In fact, you probably did. Look, he's very, very central, almost over to this side. So the framing is not great. And this horrific dog is in there as well. So I think if you did it on your own, I understand the issues, but it could be better framed and edited because he goes on a bit.
And probably to raise money for people who have been in the military. It's Army, Navy or Air Force. A contribution that they've made over the years and are still making. And I admire them. I did 10 years with the MOD, Ministry of Defence. Great admiration and feel proud.
The Remembrance service will be held outside of the cathedral this Sunday. Julie Lee, Winchester News Online.
See, that's really nice. I mean, I like the composition of this story is well done. You've told it pretty well. As you're shooting this, I don't mind you dissolving into a soft focus. That's okay. Just don't come back on it. Just go into the soft focus and hold it there. It looks like you're just about to come back into a sharp focus. So when you're shooting this, Start with a normal shot like you have, then go into soft focus. Hold the end of the soft focus, 2, 3, 4 seconds, and then come back to a sharp shot. Because then what you do is you give yourself the option of going from sharp to soft and then soft to sharp. So you've got two different shots there. So actually, you're giving yourself more to work with when you're back in the edit suite.
Residents can once again look forward to some festive fun with the ice rink.
Okay, sound issues here. Not quite sure what's going on.
It will be covered by a roof again this year, so come rain or come shine, it's a place for all to enjoy. If you're an adult, you may have a bit of a shock, with the standard adult ticket now costing £11.50.
This is good.
Up from £8 in 2006.
Well done, that's great.
We asked the cathedral to comment about the increase, but they haven't responded to us. The ice rink opens on the 20th of November and runs until after the new year.
That's good. That black hole is obviously not good. You need to come out. Oh, you need to come out straight away. But what is good about that piece is you've made it more than just look. Here it is. Starts again. Okay, so you've found an angle. It's expensive. You've shown it graphically. That's good. And you've tried to get a response from the cathedral. Nailed it. Good stuff.
Community Cafe opened in Winchester to help those in need. We went to see how things have changed after a year. Paige Lampard reports.
And this is I remember this story, and it was a really good story. And why this is so much better now is you've got loads of energy and people in it, and it's bustling and it's busy. And when we did it before, you know, there weren't many people there. But now in this, you've got some really good shots.
It's a place which brings the community together around a nutritious, fresh-cooked meal they haven't had to cook. First Bite Cafe in Winchester is an initiative set up to provide affordable meals using surplus food which would have otherwise gone to waste.
It's a really good mix of shots as well.
This means that even those struggling to make ends meet can sit down with others and enjoy a healthy meal at a reasonable price. 60 people visit First Bite.
Different size of shots as well. That is what is good. Not just everything as a sort of medium shot. Nice little close-up of food there. It makes such a difference.
Each week on average. The initiative is certainly bringing the community together.
And that almost works as an edit. You see, you've got a wider shot and a tighter shot. Same people in it, but you've got different size. So it works.
I think the initiative provides people with a safe place to come and enjoy a good nutritious meal at a low cost. We think that people who might be otherwise isolated can come here and make friends, join in and have a good conversation with other people, which helps self-esteem. And
she's a bit profiling. I think she's a really good grab. I mean, it's a very interesting what she has to say, but just look, a little bit profile-y, isn't she? Wherein I can't see that eye, I've got a profile of her nose. So it just needs to come around a little bit more, looking this side.
Mental health.
There are 12 volunteers giving a helping hand to ensure that no one is left.
See, again, you've got a really good range of shots. Whoever shot this, very well done. If it's you, Paige, fab. If it's somebody else who went with you, really well done.
I just like helping people. When people come in, like I get to meet.
And again, apart from this, again, look, if we're talking about our rule of thirds, that's a rule of halves there. So his head needs to be just up here, his eyes sort of up here, okay? But this is great. I like the fact that this guy, you've picked on him, he's really good, he's young, it really makes this story stand out.
Meet people, I get to experience new things. I like helping people who don't have a place, like have a place to stay or a place to eat, just getting food into their stomach because it's hard out there, and it's just good to help people.
It's very friendly and lovely home cooked food. There's a lot of
Again, framing of that previous one, not so good. And the sound on this, not quite sure what happened to it.
They were children, so they get to communicate with each other and have a good time. We meet lots of different people down here as well.
See, that's, talk to people, that's what we want.
Thursday marked the Community Cafe's first birthday, and in its year of running, the organisation have managed to save 1,600 kilos of landfill.
It's not wasting all the energy for a start that's gone into producing that food and transporting that food, and all the people that have had to work to make that food. What possible benefit is there of just chucking that all in the bin? So actually that not going in the bin and then not creating all this noxious gases and the energy to get it to the landfill site.
It's clear to say that plenty of food is going to waste, with supermarkets across the UK chucking over 300,000 tonnes of food every year. But the community cafe providing healthy meals out of surplus food is definitely a step in the right direction towards tackling the systematic food waste problem. Paige Lampard, Winchester News Online.
Paige, really well done, because that's a really well told story with so many good elements in it. I mean, the thing about the piece to camera is, and I think you'll notice that, it's so disassociated from the story because there's so much warmth, there's so much good pictures, some rich pictures in your package and you talking to all the right people. For you then suddenly to be, I don't know, where have you done it? In our canteen, something like that? To be so disassociated from the story is a shame, actually, because what you say is good, you deliver it strongly, but it would have been so much better if you could have done it right in there, in the kitchen, by the bins, whatever, served at table, whatever it might be, rather than that being rather dry. But otherwise, really well told story, really good pictures.
Donating bone marrow might be a scary thought for some people, but a recruitment drive by Winchester Marrow...
That's interesting to go in there. I'm not sure that was meant to happen.
...is hoping to get more people to sign up.
But I quite like, have Harry up close like that. That's fine.
Danielle Condell reports.
This may look slightly gross.
I think, look, I know it's a word used by you young'uns, gross. I'm not sure it's a journalistic word. So just try and find something else. Uncomfortable, whatever it might be. But gross is a bit youth.
But one day, this simple process could save a life.
But it's a good opening line, apart from that word.
Because there's 1 in 100 chance that...
And I love the way, actually, you've actually started, Kaylee, with because. That makes sense because it follows on from what you say. So it's a natural progression of the package. So well done on that score.
One who signs up today can save someone's life with blood cancer. And we're so young, we've all got so much to give. And it doesn't just affect that one person, it affects everyone around them. And the thing I think about is, what if it was you or someone in your family, you'd want someone to do something about it, and just doing a swab signs you up to the register until you're 60, so...
Easy, right? I decided to see for myself how quick the process is and what's involved in signing up.
You see, Gonzo pieces where you're involved in the package and you doing part of it, that's what it's all about. And you having those shots, it's great.
This means I could now be called to donate stem cells or bone marrow in the future.
And you've gone on to explain it. So, a decent piece of journalism.
So, now these people are going to make their way over to our lab, where you'll be tissue types and tissue register.
The only thing is the sound is of such poor quality. It's a shame because I can barely hear what she was saying, and it's actually quite important.
With stem cell donations being the last chance for some people with blood cancer, drives like these could help save a lot of lives, especially with donations being sent all around the world. Danielle Condell, Winchester News Online.
I've only just worked out what you did, having seen this again. So the sound on your piece to camera was so crap, you've tried to lip sync what you said over the top. And I thought it was out of sync to begin with, and I thought, there's something wrong. And now I've worked out what you did. Don't do it. I'm afraid you've got to ditch the piece to camera. You've just got to be brutal with yourself and go, no, that didn't work. I can't fake it. If it's a big wide shot where and it's not so close like it is there, where you can't see your mouth move and you could actually fake it, then maybe do it. You can't do it there because what I can do is just about hear your voice underneath on the original and then you voicing over and trying to do the lip sync afterwards. It doesn't work. So please don't do it.
Winchester Market's own George Hodgson has caught the attention of top fashion magazines for his creative designs inspired by his mental health story. Our lifestyle reporter, Athena Lakey, went to...
I think you need more than that. We've not really said much about him, and I think we need to do that in the intro. Otherwise, it's a bit of what on earth is this about?
Find out more.
A local man who suffers from severe anxiety.
I like the opening shot though. Nice.
And OCD has been featured in one of the world's top leading fashion magazines as an inspirational fashion designer.
I originally started made a shoot in 2014
Again, the sound not good here on George.
when I was severely suffering with mental health, anxiety and OCD. And I was using my drawings from little black books, which I did, like quotes and drawings and stuff, and I put them on the Photoshop to play around with them. Then I thought maybe I could do something with these, take them to spread awareness of mental health.
Winner of the British Fashion Startup Awards in 2016,
Nice to see a purchase. You've thought about a different shot. Otherwise, it's all a bit dull.
George has been featured in Vanity Fair and Vanity Fair Italia for his influential designs constructed by his mental health problems.
And different shots says good. Obviously, what is missing is shots from those magazines. That's what you need.
It was a project for me at the time, so I left.
Could we not have found some somewhere? Surely it's online. And that's all in the process, in the planning. Can he bring them? He must have a copy somewhere. Don't tell me he hasn't got a copy at home.
College and I didn't have a job, so it was something for me to do and get on with it. I see the sign. You get loads of people coming up to me and actually talking about their own experiences of mental health, which is fine with me because I can talk to them about it because I'm very open about mine. And I work with Young Minds as well.
Young Minds is the UK's leading charity addressing the well-being and mental health of young people.
When people ask me for advice, I say, it takes time, but you will get through it. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. But find an outlet that helps you, creative, not creative, academic, and sort of just use it to express yourself. And if you like drawing your thoughts and feelings. If you don't like talking, find a different way.
Because we've seen so much of him, I would have continued that previous shot a little bit longer. We don't need to see him all the time. I can just about hear what he's saying. And we need some more shots in this. So actually, those people paying for stuff was a decent shot to cover these pictures.
Expressing myself, and for NDC, I want to continue growing mental health at the heart because that's what it's all about. Bringing new designs, and I'm looking at working with university students to set themselves to design T-shirts and then print them and then tell their story.
According to the Mental Health Foundation, 1 in 4 people will be affected by severe anxiety or depression at some point within their life. But George has shown us that on the Winchester market, by creating your own brand, you can address your mental health problems. Tina Lakey, 9-star reporter for Winchester News Online.
Yeah, I think just sign off normally. Just say, Athena Lakey, Winchester News Online, Winchester. That is fine. Don't need to say what sort of reporter you are, what your bag is. But I like the story. You've told it well. I think there is too much of him. Not enough of any other people who are buying it. Almost like, do you know the story behind this brand? And they go, oh no, I didn't know. That's very interesting. So I think something like that. The range of shots is good though. You tell a decent story. He tells a decent story, but I'd say there's a little bit too much of him. I think you could edit that down, and I think that's probably a general critique of the whole bulletin. It can be sharper. You can make these packages a little bit more precise.
When was the last time you rode a bike? If it's been a while, why not pop down to the university's bike auction being held this week? Ian Sheridan takes us for a ride.
I can see what you're trying to do. I see what you did there. Look, does it work? Not quite sure. I like the fact that you're asking the viewer a question. You're engaging your viewer, so that's fine. And this is a decent package.
How much would you pay for this bike? This and other bikes will be auctioned this week in a sealed bid auction.
So we're running the university's bike auction, and this is an auction of 9 bikes that were abandoned at the university over the last year.
See, I don't know why we need a cutaway there. She's hardly said anything. Let's just get her in this shot.
And we put out signs over the summer to say
if there is a jump cut and you put two bits together, I think you only need the second bit. This is what I'm talking about, being more precise and being a bit more ruthless about the way you edit, because at the moment it just sort of drifts a little bit and you want to be precise, you want to be on it, you want to make things sharp. It makes things move a lot quicker, and actually you can end up doing a package that's 2 minutes long and it'll feel a lot shorter because you've got a lot of energy in it, a lot of cuts, and everything is sharper.
If you don't collect your bike, we'll be taking them back, refurbishing them and auctioning them. We've got 9 bikes left that weren't collected, and they've been beautifully restored by Bespoke Biking.
Again, we've gone away from her, we've come back, we've gone away, we've come back, and now we've gone away again. I think it's too much here. You can use a lot of other shots without going back to her. We've gone back to her 3 times. 2 would be plenty.
There's one really great one that I think will sell well, and all we did was put new tyres on that. I'd go get a check over. There was a couple that we absolutely stripped down.
All these shots are good, and from a very basic level, then that's sort of just hearing the chain go round, I can hear it underneath. If it was mute, it would be strange. If it was too much sound, it would be strange. This is the right amount. Just on your cutaway pictures, you've got a little bit of natural sound there.
That were just in a shocking state, but then we used the parts to fix up one of the other bikes.
I think I'm interested in the Silver Giant. I'll probably make it.
And again, that looks soft to me. I don't know if that's in the compression. It just looks a bit of a soft shot, but this is good to get some Vox Pops.
But it's a brilliant deal, absolutely brilliant deal, and we're pretty sure that the new owners will be really proud to have a reconditioned bike that's roadworthy and ready to go and really sustainable.
Look, sequence, wahey!
It's a closed bids auction.
Well done. We're seeing an awful lot of this lady, which you can explain. You have used her to explain your story. You can do that in voiceover. We don't need to see this person over and over again, and what she says would sound better if it's come from you, because this is probably about the 5th time I've seen her in Vision now. And as good as she looks and as well as she explains everything, it could be better from you.
Asking people to pay what they think it's worth.
The university.
That should definitely come from you.
The university is expecting to raise approximately £400, and any profit will be donated to charity. You can view the lotbook online. The winning bidders will be contacted after the 10th of November. Bikes will be available for viewing today and tomorrow. Ian Sheridan, Winchester News Online. Winchester.
I mean, it's a good story. You've got good aspects in there. You've spoken to some decent people. Maybe you could have spoken to more Vox Pops. And, is it a continual issue that you have? Again, I'd say your voiceover needs to be in there a bit more and less of her. And whether, what I'm thinking about is whether the bikes, do they have a perennial problem that they get loads of bikes left behind and whatever. But I think it's a really good story. Really good story.
And now over to Mike Key at the sports desk.
Okay, we've still got to work on this again. It's a bit messy. Mike's links are a bit messy, but it's just getting used to this, having a bit more studio time so you feel more comfortable.
Thanks, Harry. Well, this week's marine sports action saw Basingstoke Bison play their game on Saturday night.
I know you want to look, there's a black hole. Don't like that. But also, look, the Bison playing on Saturday, even though you're trying to remember a link, that's no link to a news package at all, or sports package. It doesn't matter. Somebody playing on Saturday. Well, it doesn't matter if they play Tuesday, Thursday, whatever. There has to be a news angle to your link. And we obviously need to discuss this. I mean, we've got the same issue as we had previously, where we've got this in shot. We've got an angle problem here. And if Basingstoke Bison want us to film it, we have to say to them, if you want us to film it, you put us into the best place in the house so we get some decent shots, not half the shot covered by a laptop.
Saturday night saw the Bison welcome Milton Keynes Thunder to Planet Ice. The first
nice shot, nice angle.
13 minutes of the game appeared even, with both teams scoring runs. However, quickly after the visitors tied the game, the Herd took control, scoring another 2 goals. Going into the second period, the hosts continued to dominate. The first goal of the period came from Bison captain Aaron Conley after being hooked on a breakaway by a Thunder player. Conley then converted the second.
I think when you've got that, you can get really tight. I think you can, rather than being on this wide shot, I reckon you've got a shot like that. You can carry on going in. You get far more of a flavour of it when it's 1 against 1.
But possibly the pick of the goals came from Oscar Evans, scoring his first in the senior team a week after his debut. Then in the third, the Bison struck the final blow, as Dan Davis scored the Herd's 7th. After the game, Roman Malenik reflected on their performance.
I think that the whole team played a really good game. They scored.
And this is hideous sound. Really, really bad.
Couple goals. I think that the most important was quick goals in the second period. That's basically it.
It's also a really horrible background as well, up against a breeze block wall.
Shows the way of the game if we won. So our team played good, but we deserve to win. I think it was pretty simple. Like we made a good move and good trainings, and they shot us for the goal.
Yeah, it's so horrible, this sound underneath this. I can barely concentrate on what's going on.
And it was first for him here, I guess, or maybe in senior. So good luck for this guy, and he can keep it up and score many goals because he's a good kid, and I think he has a good future.
And then this empty bit at the end, which I don't get. What you can do, if you, maybe on a sports package, you can come out on a grab. So just leave his grab long and come out of it, or if you have to, which is never ideal, you put a little freeze on the end and then you come out of it. But it's all key about timings outwards so that a director can punch out, vision mixer can hit it, and you can get back in the studio without it looking messy at the end.
And now we caught up with the university's basketball team, looking to improve on last week's loss.
I think we just got to think about what we're saying there. I know it's difficult in front of camera, but you just got to think about a line. And if necessary, have a script in front of you that you're going to look down to. Not a problem. I'm not quite sure why we use that one, where for half the time we can't see a player or the ball in shot.
Just tonight, it's lost their third game of the season at Plymouth Raiders. The team struggled defensively as Plymouth made light work with scoring. It's been an experience to learn from Vice Captain Bradley Holland.
And your voiceover is just far too quick, and I can't hear it.
He's happy how players have stepped up when needed.
A few players stepped up
and then you said stepped up. He says stepped up. So you got to find another way. A few players rose to the occasion when asked. Bosh.
Been quite quiet recently, so it's good to see that. There was positives.
Again, I think you need a tighter shot. This is too wide.
Positives and negatives. We've taken the positives and we're going to learn from the negatives. Go from there.
The team has a lot to improve on both sides of the floor, especially before the next game on Wednesday as they look to move back up the table. That's all the sport for this week. And back to you, Harry.
Better end.
Thank you for that, Mike. And now, work and a busy lifestyle can make us forget about going to the gym.
By the way, that was very, very casual way, Harry, that you just looked at your papers and then looked up. Very smooth presenting.
But would new evidence that it extends your life get you signing up? Our health reporter, Amber Lovell, looks into this revolution.
Is it a revolution? Being fit, is that a revolution? Or are you talking about the research that's revolutionary? Not quite sure.
According to a new study, it's been found that you could prevent premature death by up to 23% and up to 31% in cancer-related instances by doing sit-ups and press-ups alone. I'm here to find out what muscles sit-ups and press-ups work and whether they can actually help prolong your life. Come with me and we'll find out.
Yeah, Amber, I like your character and it's fun and whatever. I think you could do more of it in a story like this. My issue is you've got this research, you've interviewed a personal trainer who sort of works on your muscles and whatever. We need somebody a bit more specialised to be able to give a decent answer and a little bit more of this research.
Jacob House, a personal trainer at the University of Winchester Gym, explains the benefits of doing both push-ups.
And why not, when he's doing push-ups, put the camera on the ground so actually you see his face going up and down into shot or something like that, so that you get in with it, rather than, what's the point there? Actually, for a time, take the camera off the legs, put it on the floor, get a different angle.
And sit-ups.
So for push-ups, it's good for kind of full body activity.
And look, when you've got background noise and you've got gym music in the back, get a microphone, stick it right under his nose. That's the only way we're going to hear him properly.
So it's good for functional strength. It also is good for your posture.
Sounds poor on this.
You don't want to be hunched over, so a good push-up will kind of keep you upright and make sure that you don't get low back pain as well. The same for sit-ups, it's good for the core, so you won't be bending over as much, so it's good for your posture.
Using his knowledge as a personal trainer, Jacob comments on whether these exercises alone will really prolong your life.
You see, you've done exactly the same thing because all you are in the same position that he was. So the camera's got to move around. Even if it's you shooting it on your own, put it on the floor. Vary it. Or if you're shooting yourself, then clearly get in shot. Go back, check, because you're not quite in shot properly here. And with him, move it around, make it more interesting. Otherwise, it's just exactly the same shot. Visually, it makes it look very dull.
I wouldn't say those two exercises would do that much. They're good for general strength and conditioning, but you want to do kind of high intensity activity, so like running, various other exercises as well. But yeah, I wouldn't say those two would that much.
You need to say something here, Amber.
Chesley's on language.
Okay, I mean, you've got so much personality that comes across, but you need to be talking actually as you're doing your sit-ups and then do your payoff. Then it would work. But I don't think just by interviewing a personal trainer, we've got enough out of this story.
Winchester isn't the safest place if you're visually impaired, but change is coming. A radio studio are using their voices to guide the blind on what's going on in the local area. Lauren Hodgson reports.
I'm not quite sure why change is coming when they've been doing this for 20 odd years. I don't know. I don't understand that part of the story. So make sure your link into the package and the package itself reflect the same story.
A click of a mouse is all it takes for a voice to appear in the dark. For blind
that's a lovely line.
people, knowing what happens locally is virtually impossible. But a charity in Winchester is becoming the eyes for local blind people in exchange for their ears, through radio bulletins.
First of all, we're going to have the news stories that are on the front page, then we're going to have death notices, bell garum, and after that we will have a variety of general news. Well, we started 26 years ago.
So it's 26 years ago. So where is the new angle? And okay, if we're talking framing, this is completely wrong. He needs to be here because he's looking out. Or you stand this side of the camera and then you would bring his eyes across this way and then it would be framed. Then this would be okay. But then you bring, his eyes. So he looks over here and you'd be the other side of the camera. But in fact, you'd stuffed him over this side and this is, his looking space is here and actually he's looking out here.
There was obviously a need for a service like ours for many blind and visually impaired people in Winchester and the surrounding areas. It's important for local people to be able to access local news. They can get all the national news from the television and the radio, of course, but what they miss is knowing what's happening in their area, what's happening down the road closures and so on.
according to the Royal National Institute for the Blind.
Now you can tell me that this sound is horrible.
Over half of partially sighted people in the UK feel moderately or completely cut off by their surroundings. So for them, Winchester Talking News are a way to access what's happening in Hampshire. Lauren Hodgson for Winchester News Online.
So Lauren, I think you know that's a pretty horrible piece to camera. Look, and I don't get it. You know, there is nothing new about this story. It's something that's been going on for 26 years. Isn't that lovely? But where's the news angle? I think it's a great story, but where is the news angle and why can we justify running that story? I don't think we can.
Important member of the team at the Hampshire Riding Therapy Centre has brought the community together in a fundraising bid to provide urgent medical attention. Jessica Staley has more.
To some, he may just look like any other horse, but to the people at Hampshire Riding Therapy Centre, he's known as Mr. Sin. After 15 years of providing support and giving others new confidence, the tables turned, and it was Sin in need of their help. We experienced floods
That's really nice, cleverly written. So well done.
in 2013, which set us back quite a lot. Sin recently had an episode with his COPD, which required veterinary attention, which cost £700.
UOPD? What on earth are we going on about?
So we kind of needed to find extra money for him as quickly as possible. COPD.
I think there's a black hole in that, so be careful with your edits.
Otherwise known as chronic obstructive pulmonary disease.
I think you've got to do that beforehand because I'm asking that question and it's coming. The answer comes afterwards.
Is a condition similar to chronic asthma in humans, meaning Sin often has difficulty breathing. Following a recent increase in the pollen count, Mr. Sin developed a colic which needed immediate veterinary attention. Mr. Sin has been with us for 15 years. He's a real asset to the centre. He does a lot of lessons, a lot of clients absolutely adore him. He's really helpful with children with autism and other needs. He's a really sweet boy. He's super cuddly, really, really sweet, adores attention, just loves people, loves treats, loves a fuss. He's awesome. He's an awesome horse. Mr. Sin's Just Giving page shows that they've reached just over their target of £700, meaning his vet bills can be paid with ease. Hampshire Riding Therapy Centre continues to provide therapy for both children and adults, and Mr. Sin continues to steal the hearts of their clients. Jessica Staley, Winchester News Online.
It's nice and well done for doing your piece to camera with Mr. Sin. Look, it's a lovely local story that makes sense that you've told. What would be nice, yes, of course, is seeing Mr. Sin in action doing some stuff rather than just walking out and about inside the stables. So, it needs visually more stimulating stuff, but it's a perfect and finally story. And it's a good news story.
That's all for today. Thank you for watching Winchester News Online.
And I like that. Just a gentle pull out. Wow, we've got some movement in the studio. Someone's thought about it. Whoever directed it, very well done. Look, this is a long spiel I've given you here, so I'm not going to go on much longer, but please work on your sound. It's really tough to listen to at sometimes, but there have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 packages today. I don't think we've ever had 10 packages before. So that is prolific. But I think if you're going to have 10 people producing a package, and that doesn't include the sport, then you've got to be sharper and tell your story quicker and more precisely, concisely, certainly sharper, and then we have a better bulletin. But the amount of work that's gone into that, well done. So we're getting there, but really work on sound and work on different sort of pictures. We need a variety of pictures and more telling of that story. But apart from that, well done. On that note, I think I probably better end.